Welcome back to another episode of Sulz Says. I am your host, your hostess with the mostest, Sully Myrie. Welcome. And I thank you for being here. It's been a while. Got my kind of halfway Rosie the Riveter look going on here. So let's get to work. People always ask me, Sully, how do you memorize all those lines? I've been in performances where I've had to learn a whole lot of lines. I never understood actors who didn't take great care into memorizing their lines, their monologues. I never understood it. I feel like you can't really get to do the work until those lines are memorized. I guess this tip would be helpful for actors that want to memorize their lines quickly, people who want to memorize a speech if they have a presentation where they don't want to be bogged down to notes and paper. And this is also good for taking exams, taking tests. This is how I memorize quickly. First, you have to believe that you are capable of memorizing. How you talk to yourself is very important. Don't just write yourself off as, oh, I'm forgetful. I can never remember things. I can't remember names. If you tell yourself that, then you continue to make it true. So first things first, start to change how you talk to yourself. At least make a decision. Make it out loud to yourself that I will memorize fill in the blank quickly. I am learning to memorize and retain information quickly and easily. Breathe into that. Really, it's the easiest thing in the world to me to do this, and here are the steps. Whatever your speech, if you have your sides, your actor's sides, your copy, you have your words in front of you. Read them out loud. That's your first step. Just read your lines. Read the material. Read it. You gotta read it all the way through at least once. Now, what I find annoying is when I'm in a rehearsal with actors and it's still in the beginning stages of a rehearsal, but I don't know if they're trying to prove to themselves or to other people that, oh, I can memorize lines, and you see them struggling and reaching for this line that they do not know. They got a book right in front of them. They have the script, the speech right in front of them. But they have put this undue pressure on themselves to have it memorized when clearly they don't have it memorized. They probably try to do like a cramming session of some sort, and maybe for a while they were able to retain it at that time, but then when it's time to actually like rehearse or do, then the memory is completely obliterated. I've seen people who like have done cram sessions. I have been guilty of doing cram sessions, and then it's just hit or miss what you retain, what you don't. First of all, rehearsals, there's no pressure to have things memorized in the early stages of rehearsal. Now, as you move along, yes, but in the beginning, do not put yourself under that pressure.
Don't talk to me like a child. I played Hamlet at Cambridge.
And do not waste all of our times pretending that you have memorized these lines. When you have a script in your hand, just read your lines. Don't even commit to any particular action or way you're going to say the lines. Just read them. But please, please, please keep that script in your hand and actually take your eyes and put it on the words. We will not judge you for doing so. And if somebody just judges you for reading your lines, who cares? This is your process. Now, when you've read your material, the next thing you should do is pull out a piece of paper and a pencil or pen. What I actually do is I read it out loud. I look at it. I'm looking at it with my eyes. I'm reading the sentence. I'm reading the line. I write down the line as I say it. And then I do that line by line. I like to work in chunks that I know I can kind of group thoughts around. Now, I would suggest if you have an especially long piece of dialogue, like if you got pages and pages of speech or pages and pages of dialogue, then of course you're going to have to break this up in chunks. Do that process again for a second time. You read it from the original script or speech. You read it aloud from that speech as you are writing it. If you do that at least 3 times, those words will start to get ingrained in you. It's something about you're seeing the words, you are hearing the words, you're using your sense of touch as you're writing the words. So you're using different senses so that your whole body, your whole being memorizes the speech. So if you do that in chunks and you memorize a chunk, a paragraph, then you can move on to the next paragraph or the next idea, the next thought to do the same thing, and then read it out loud. You write it as you're saying it out loud. You do the whole next chunk of paragraph. And then you do that 3 times at least. Start flowing to your first one that you have memorized. Then you build upon that second chunk that you have memorized out loud. And then if you have more speech, and then you move forward and you move forward, you move forward. This can sound like a tedious process, but it works. It is tedious for a short amount of time. This is tedious for a short amount of time, but you can get a lot of material memorized quickly if you follow that particular protocol. Read it out loud, and write it down as you are reading your material out loud. This works for speeches. This works for actors' lines and dialogue. Now, I don't write down other people's dialogue as I'm doing, if I'm doing this process on my own. I only will read the other people's line. I like to know other people's lines. I like to know a script backwards and forwards because then even if another actor skips a line, then I know where to pick up from. And that's especially important in live performance. In film, on camera, you can just edit it out. But when you're doing something live, it's an important skill to have. It's important to know other people's lines, because sometimes you can kind of give your scene partner some clues to pick up their next line. It's like, because you're in it together. You know all your lines and you're not in a position to save your scene partner, then you both look like crap. Yeah, that's not a win for you. Like, oh, well, that's such a better actor than that one that lost their lines. And I found doing this helped me with exams. I've excelled in exams where I should not have passed the class, let alone got an A. I remember I took French for 1 semester in college. I don't know not a lick of French, but I walked away with an A because I know how to memorize. So when it came to any written tests, I was good. When it came to the homework and written tests and the quizzes, I was good because just from this memorization technique. So, vaya con Dios Do what you will with it, and I hope that you found this very helpful.